What if I told you Ferrari haven't even started showing us what the SF-25 can really do? For 4 races, they've been running with the handbrake on. Limited setups, compromised ride heights, and a car that's never been in its real performance window. Until now. In Saudi Arabia, that all changes. Ferrari's data shows a 30% boost in performance potential. And Jeddah's smooth, low-deg layout is the perfect storm for a red resurgence. Don't blink, because if you miss what happens in Jeddah, you might miss the moment Ferrari flips this entire championship script. But first we need to talk about... Let's stop pretending. Max Verstappen isn't just a driver at Red Bull. He's the center of gravity. He influences the car, the strategy, even who lines up next to him on a Sunday. But if he walks away from all that for a silver arrow, that control doesn't follow him. You're watching Paddock Insider, where we peel back the press briefings and dig into the power plays the paddock won't talk about. And today, we're asking the real question. Would Max trade power for potential? And would it cost him more than he thinks? Let's not kid ourselves. Red Bull has molded itself around Verstappen. It's not just about car performance, it's about authority. Gasly, Albon, Perez, Lawson, all filtered through the Max machine. Anyone who can't keep up? Shown the door. Now it's Yuki Tsunoda's turn to survive the Verstappen vortex. And according to Karun Chandhok, that kind of influence doesn't exist everywhere. Red Bull may have created a situation where Max gets a say on who's in the other car. At Mercedes, he may not. And there's the warning shot. Toto Wolff is building a team, not a throne room. He's got George Russell, consistent, sharp, reliable. He's got Kimi Antonelli, the prodigy, the future, the investment. So if Max shows up at Mercedes expecting the Red Bull treatment, he might be in for a reality check. And Chandhok's not alone. Martin Brundle went straight to the point. If Verstappen hits the market, I'd be worried for George. Worried? Maybe. But here's the twist. Max won't be able to pick who stays or who goes. P6 for Max, P2 for Russell. And that was with electrical issues. Helmut Marko's words after Bahrain: worry, not assurance. We have great concerns. Performance clauses. The speculation isn't just fan fiction anymore. It's front and center. And Mercedes, they're watching, quietly, strategically, but don't expect them to hand Max the keys to the castle. At Red Bull, Max is untouchable. At Mercedes, he'd be one elite in a pool of talent. No more veto power, no more hand-picked teammates, no more room to dominate the garage dynamics. Is that something Verstappen's ready for? Because this isn't about whether Mercedes can build a fast car. It's about whether Max is ready to give up the empire for a shot at reinvention. Let's stop pretending Ferrari have been at full power. They haven't. Not even close. The SF-25 has spent the first 4 races of 2025 being managed, compromised, and held back by setup limits. But that's about to change, and Jeddah might be the spark. Gazzetta dello Sport claims Ferrari's data post-Bahrain points to a huge shift. The car's operating window has not only widened since Suzuka, it's now expected to expand by 30% heading into Saudi Arabia. That's not a step forward, that's a jailbreak. Here's why this matters. Jeddah is smooth, no big bumps, so no need to raise ride height, low downforce track. Perfect for Ferrari's efficiency, minimal tire degradation, something the SF-25 responds well to. It's the first time this year Ferrari can truly run the car as designed. Not a neutered version to avoid floor wear and compliance flags. Ferrari brought a new floor to Bahrain, quietly, without the fanfare. But the numbers don't lie. Leclerc was competitive. Hamilton passed Verstappen on track. Yes, and passed Verstappen. And even though they couldn't run at maximum potential, the long-run performance showed clear gains. Naomi Schiff confirmed the paddock whispers. They've not been able to run the car in the optimum setup, and that's been frustrating for both drivers. But in Saudi, that story changes. Lewis hasn't found his Saturdays yet, but his Sundays are getting sharper by the lap. He's learning the SF-25 on the fly. And Bahrain showed one thing loud and clear. I think I figured out how this car likes to be driven. That's not just a quote, that's a declaration. From a 7-time world champion who's finally syncing with a machine that's just about ready to return fire. When Ferrari give Lewis a car that feels right, he doesn't just compete, he hunts. What do they have now? A working floor, a track that hides their weaknesses, a car setup that can finally run low, a pairing that's hungry and gaining confidence. And if that 30% window expansion holds true, we're not just talking about Ferrari joining the front. We're talking about them redefining the podium fight. Leclerc sits 5th, Hamilton 7th. But in Saudi Arabia, the tables could turn. Let's get real. Lewis Hamilton is not in control of the SF-25, not yet, and he's not pretending otherwise. He's losing to Leclerc, fighting the car more than the competition, and after Bahrain, he called it what it is. It feels so alien. But here's the twist no one in the paddock will say out loud. This isn't a weakness, it's the setup to something massive. Let's rewind to Saturday in Bahrain. Lewis was 6/10 off Leclerc in quali. That's not a gap, it's a chasm. And when the media asked what went wrong, I don't have the answers. It just feels so alien. Most drivers would have thrown out setup excuses, blamed the wind, blamed traffic. But Hamilton went inward. And that's the mark of a driver still sharpening the blade, not hanging it up. Hamilton spent over a decade at Mercedes. Same engineers, same systems, same feel under braking. Now, he's in a red machine with a completely different rhythm. I've never used engine braking in the past 12 years. The brakes are totally different. Sometimes I have to use the rear tires to turn the car. This isn't learning a new team. This is learning to drive again. And he's doing it live, under pressure, while most drivers would have already spiraled. Lewis isn't pushing the car to change. He's rebuilding himself around it. He's not fighting Ferrari's DNA. He's studying it. And that kind of adaptability, that's what makes a 7-time world champion a threat, even when he's down. Let's not forget, he passed Verstappen in Bahrain. He clawed back to P5 from a tough quali. He's still finding seconds in the car while others are already at their ceiling. When he figures this thing out in qualifying too, it's game over for anyone banking on an early season advantage. Charles is ahead, 2 spots, 7 points. And yes, he's more at home in the SF-25, but that's temporary. Hamilton's closing the gap, not just physically, but psychologically. Every race he gets closer. Every weekend, the setup sheets converge. And when it clicks, Leclerc will have more than just McLaren to worry about. Like this video if you think Hamilton's alien comment was the calm before the storm. Drop a comment. Will Jeddah be the turning point for Lewis in red? Subscribe to Paddock Insider, where we follow the rebuild, not just the results. Paddock Insider, because watching a legend rise again is better than watching one coast.